want a taste of my brain? Okay, it's yours anyway. A bite of my eye. Alright, I won't put up a fight. How about today you try eating someone else for a change? Because the way things are going, I won't last another day. As you open up my ribs, the blood flows out like a river. You strip my bones away as you indulge in my liver. The more that I am in pain, the more that you gain. And to me it seems like a pretty fair trade. You bite my nervous system, ignites the torment inspired. Sacrifices must be made. One thing that you never hear me say is that I'm tired of living. Funny thing, the statement changed today. Good thing that I'm forgiving.
Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Podcast of Doom. It is I, Mecha Joseph, joined here with my newish co-host, Ophamae. That's her name.
Hello.
This is a bit of an impromptu episode. I realized the other day, while still working on our fledgling podcast, that Halloween is coming up. Mm-hmm. And in the show biz, you've got to capitalize on holidays. You always have to have your holiday special. So I pulled Ophamae over here to our little makeshift podcast studio. I guess we call it that. And I said, well, let's record an episode. But I have no fucking idea what to talk about.
Oh, there's tons to talk about.
Halloween,
yeah.
Ghosts and ghouls. It doesn't feel like Halloween this year, does it?
Well, I think, like, with how expensive things have gotten,
right?
People aren't going all out like they did.
Yeah.
But I feel Halloween-y.
You feel Halloween-y?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute.
I feel pretty Halloween-y.
I can't even make fun of you for saying that. Halloween-y. That sounds like some kind of frozen dinner that they would sell around, like Count Chocula Halloweenies or like corn dogs. Like,
this is like, what's her name? The little microwave dinners, like they turn the chicken nuggets into ghosts and stuff, or like skulls.
Yeah.
Or what's it called? Kids Cuisine. Like the little penguin.
I was never allowed to get those.
Well, that's all I lived off of. So.
You gave me a good idea.
Oh, yeah?
We'll have to talk about that later, though.
Okay.
But regardless, we are here. We have stopped everything we're doing to record this episode to present to you, our meager audience, to talk about Halloween, ghouls, ghosts, all that kind of stuff. Just the feeling you get when you think about Halloween. You know, like all those, I think it strikes up. Some people, Halloween is like the slasher, gory.
Yeah,
some
more
people,
of a
it's
scary time.
Yeah, scary. Me, it's that more of that like cartoon specials and that feeling you'd get, the crisp air, you know, walking around. Getting excited about the candy. I always had like big Halloween parties, or we dressed up. We did that last year actually. But through my life, I'd always dress up. Always have to have the best costume. I always went all out. What was your favorite costume? Do you have one?
I don't know. I dressed up as Starfire last year, and that one went pretty well. But I think I don't know. My favorite one was probably when I did the Ahsoka Tano cosplay for Halloween. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
so
that's
doing the Star Wars
Ahsoka.
one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of the Ahsoka series that just ended?
I really enjoyed it. Of course, like anything, you can find something to gripe about. But what I'm really upset about is that Ray Stevenson didn't get to see how much we loved his performance as Baylan Skoll.
Yeah.
I think he did a really good job with it. I don't know what they're going to do with his character, but it obviously, I mean, spoilers ahead, so just skip ahead if you don't want to hear this, but with him being on the father's hand and kind of pointing towards a temple that looked like the one that was on Mortis, I think we might get Abeloth.
Okay. Oh, the vampire. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was, believe it or not, a lifelong fan of Ray Stevenson. I was watching him before I think he was popular. He was in this TV show called Rome.
Yeah.
That he was really funny in. He's really funny guy.
I only saw him in Divergent.
Divergent. Okay.
Yeah, that was one of those YA novels that came out like right after Hunger Games.
I'm familiar with it.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He worked as he was the Punisher at one point. Frank
I didn't
Castle.
know that.
Yeah, he was in Thor. He was one of Thor's buddies. He was in Triple R, which is the most ridiculous movie. It's a hit Bollywood movie.
Oh, is it?
He was the villain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was Blackbeard.
Mm-hmm.
I love pirates. That's something about me. Not a lot of people know. I'm a pirate expert. Not like Johnny Depp pirate, but like the real.
Yeah.
Like, he was probably one of the best depictions of Blackbeard, who was actually quite an educated man, but we're not here to talk about that. And that was Ophamae news.
We do actually have a little bit of Ophamae news. Being on the Halloween topic.
Okay.
I just remembered this.
That was your, we already did Ophamae news. The Star Wars
This,
shit.
well, that we kind of rambled on that a little bit.
You're not allowed to have more than one. I don't want to hear it.
No, it's okay. You'll love this.
No, I won't.
Yes, you will.
What does it have to do with this?
Reese's Pieces have maggots in them this year.
What?
And they haven't issued a recall.
How did they get maggots in them?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
What?
Yeah, parents are opening up their Reese's Pieces and they're like taking bites out of it and they're like, that's weird. And then they'll look at it and there's like shit wiggling.
Well, Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
They're like M&Ms, right?
Well, sorry. What is it? The
Reese Cups?
Yes. I don't eat them. I don't like them. But yes, the Reese Cups. Sorry. And like Reese's as a whole, like their factory is
I'm not
infested.
even, I almost bought some Reese Cups.
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah.
And it seriously was like a psychic feeling. I'm like, don't buy those.
Yeah.
You don't need that fat in you.
No, people from like Walmart who are buying their candy right now are finding it.
We now know what the secret ingredient is.
Yeah.
It's
more
only
protein.
a matter of time before they start putting bugs in things.
Well, I mean, they always had beetles in them, but that's the crunch. Like, that's okay. Maggots, that's a step too far.
So I'm going to let this slide, but in future episodes, you cannot have two Ophamae news.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, you're going to lose people because they don't want to hear you talk like about yourself that much.
About myself?
How many podcasts have you? The
answer to this one.
I don't have time to fucking explain this shit to you and how this works behind the scenes. Okay, just know that time is money, and you're taking up my time when I have to get in here and look. Oh, there's two Ophamae newses. See that?
Okay, just take out the Star Wars stuff then.
I don't want to. That's
then
work.
Leave in you'll be fine.
That I won't be fine. It's hours of work. Like, every time you want to talk about fucking Ahsoka, and I have to sit here in the middle of the night.
Ooh, that's right. We could do an Ahsoka thing.
You're acting. Stop. I'm about to. This is terrible. This is terrible.
Let's go into the sesh.
I wanted to do like a nostalgic like Halloween episode. I used to think like they have like Roseanne's like haunted house, and it's like, oh look, Becky's like the vampire.
Roseanne, what's that?
That fat woman, like the white trash family from Chicago, the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, what is a TV? Hey Arnold. You ever watch Hey Arnold? Or did you people not have TV back in the backwoods?
We had TV.
Rugrats?
Yeah, I watched Rugrats.
There's Rugrats. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Well, we were talking about Halloween costumes.
And then we got on Ahsoka. So if you want to just cut out Ahsoka and leave in the good Ophamae news, then we'll leave in the good Ophamae news. And we won't talk about Ray Stevenson.
How do you think this works? If we're going to talk about anything, we're going to talk about Ray Stevenson, not the maggoty fucking Reese Cups. This isn't the 8... What?
You wanted Ophamae news. That's news.
That wasn't... You can't have two, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, take out Ray Stevenson.
I don't want to take out
We'll talk about Ray Stevenson another time.
So when I talked about
Halloween.
Ray Stevenson...
Reese Cups is Halloween.
This is about educate... Like, people are like...
You said I rambled too much, and I got the news.
How did the maggots get in the Reese Cups?
Capitalism. And
No. You go... I talk about Ray Stevenson.
You're getting Cicero upset.
He's... does that all the time.
He's right. I keep in the Reese Cup segment... Take out Ray Stevenson. We'll talk about
I
him
like Ray
another
Stevenson.
time.
I don't like the maggoty Reese Cups.
I just don't think he's Halloween appropriate.
He played Blackbeard. The man he's in costumes. The man is chameleon. Is a chameleon. I sound like fucking Joe Biden. Like you
Do you need your medicine?
Yeah, apparently. You don't understand, like, I'm dancing on the edge of a knife here.
Yeah.
This is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I know you come over here and you just think this shit happens.
Yeah.
Okay. You are...
I mean, that's how it works for me. I just come over and
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Post a TikTok every once in a while.
I don't want to fucking put... You can't have two news segments.
Okay, I'll keep it
Is
to,
that
I'll
why
keep it
Ray
to one.
Stevenson died? Because of the reason?
Possibly.
If that's the see, that's you could like loop it in there. That's how they do it.
Oh, I'm really bad at segues. I'll get better.
Okay. What? Okay.
Okay,
So
not
your
too
favorite
Ophamae
Halloween
news.
costume was Ahsoka.
Yes.
Okay.
What was yours?
I dressed up like a mummy one year when I was little, and I felt like that was my best costume. Yeah, I had like a headdress on. It's probably
Like the Pharaoh one?
Pharaoh, and I had like wrappings and like skull and everything. I was like I think 14. I looked awesome. But,
all of my kid costumes were never really good. They were cheap Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that would be cultural appropriation these days.
Possibly.
If I'm dressed up like a mummy.
I don't know. The British ate them all, so we'll never know.
Pharaoh's curse is an interesting subject we should talk about someday.
Ooh, yeah.
But I thought we'd just kind of take a walk down
Halloween
memory
lane.
lane, talk about things, maybe talk about some weird experiences. I know that you're like magic, right?
Technically, I guess.
You do magic. You've got like cards that you talk to, and
they tell me the future.
you've had a lot of these experiences with womp cats and things like that. I actually had an interesting paranormal experience the other day.
Oh?
Yeah, I did. I had a very strange experience. I like to
Here
talk
at the
about.
house?
No, it actually wasn't here, but I'll talk about it later though, because that's like the grand finale.
Okay. Ooh,
This-
little tidbit.
Yeah,
Little
it's
nugget.
foreshadowing.
Okay.
This is such a terrible episode.
Get it out. Joe
I'm just
Biden.
too depressed for this bullshit. I just don't want to do this podcast, honestly. You just like
Well, here, you just sit and edit, and then I'll talk.
when I first started this, I was supposed to be like an educational podcast, like cultured. But here we are.
Well, you asked an Appalachian to be your co-host.
You were supposed to be the student. Like people were supposed to live vicariously through you, and this
Master Padawan kind of thing.
No, this. Where are we gonna? How are we gonna segue this? Were we gonna talk about ghosts or something?
What happened with you with the mummy costume? Like, did it unravel as you were wearing it?
So it wasn't as like I say. It was like a mummy warrior. So it was like rubber, but it was rubber armor.
Okay.
So it was like, have you ever seen the Brendan Fraser Mummy?
Yes.
And how he had like henchmen. Imhotep had, it was like something like that. Like I had like shin guards and arm guards, and then like kind of like a armored skirt, and then my chest was wrapped up, and it's wrapped up to my face, and I had like a skull, a prosthetic on there, and then I had like a headdress.
Okay.
It was so elaborate for my age. I always had like pretty good costumes. That's one thing my parents always did. I had like a Slappy, the ventriloquist doll, one year when I was real little from Goosebumps. I was Batman when I was really little. God, I can't remember all of them.
I did like a broken porcelain doll.
Did
that
you?
was the most like SFX makeup I went. And like, it was really hard because my mom put it on the wrong side of the broken eye.
Yeah.
So like I can like close my left eye and keep my right one pretty open.
Gotcha.
But she put it on the right side.
No.
Like mirror effect. And so like I was doing this all night trying to
Yeah.
keep my right eye closed and open my left eye, and it wasn't working. And people at one point, somebody was like, wow, you're a really creepy zombie. And I'm like, I'm not a zombie, bitch. I'm a fucking doll. And nobody could get my costume. And I was like in a distressed dress.
Yeah.
And we like dyed it with gray dyes and stuff and made it look really old. Like my mom like put mothballs in the pockets to make it smell old too. We put a lot of work into it. That wasn't a Walmart costume. That was us buying a Goodwill dress, dyeing it, putting on makeup on me. Really excited for this one. I did scare my grandmother in that costume though, because I didn't know she had a fear of dolls.
Oh.
Yeah.
So Mima.
Well, yeah. Like, Meemaw was not ready for that. But I'll tell you, the shittiest costume I ever wore was a Snow White costume, like Disney official costume from Walmart.
Oh, yeah.
Itchiest motherfucker I've ever put on. You know those sweaters that got the glitter string in it?
Yeah.
That's itchy. I don't like it, but I can go throughout the day, and then by the time I get home, I'm ripping that bitch off. I wanted to go home immediately. Like, we were only out for maybe 10 minutes, and I was already feeling like a rash form on my neck from the collar that they had on the dress.
Yeah.
Because Snow White has that big white collar with the lace on top. Yeah. Shit wasn't hanging up. It was just folding in. So it was just scratching my neck throughout the night. And it was like 50-something degrees, but I was a kid, so I'm like freezing cold. I didn't want to wear tights, because fuck tights. Hate the line that goes over your toes. I know you haven't worn tights before, but just imagine like your sock.
Right.
Just constantly on your toes. It's awful. So I was cold, itchy. The dress was like made out of a really thin, bad fabric, so it wasn't giving me any warmth. Worst costume. I don't go to Walmart anymore to buy costumes. Like, I'll go to like a website online, or hell, I'll just go to Hobby Lobby and have my mom sew it.
Right.
And that's the best I can get. I'm not very creative in that aspect. I can't sew worth a shit, but I have ideas. And if she's got time, I can come up with a good costume. But Walmart, ass.
Walmart costumes are ass.
Ass. They don't make them out of the autistic friendly material that I've come to love. Dude, it's bad. I mean, 10 years old, kid, 10 minutes into Halloween, and I'm fucking done.
So you guys never went to like Party City?
Where we're from, like, that would be almost a 2-hour drive.
I got you.
Yeah, there was no point in going to Party City.
That's usually where we went, Party City, I believe. It was always like a big event. And
yeah.
Halloween I'm a bit older than you. Halloween has really gone down the hill.
Yeah.
It used to be a lot bigger. Like everything, it was like what Christmas is like these days. Like I remember I mentioned like Nickelodeon and Rugrats and stuff. Like they would change like the TV. Like, in between the commercials, they used to have these, like, little clips and stuff, and they would change it where there was, like, this haunted neighborhood. And you'd be, like, a little kid, you'd freak out a little bit. It'd be, like, the GAC, you know?
Yeah.
And you'd go to each house and trick-or-treat. It was, like, really bad CGI. Cartoon Network did something similar.
Yeah, like Disney Channel did
that.
They
all did that. And I'm talking about TV. Even, like, at school and shit, like, it would all creepy. I remember they had, like, a haunted house thing in the school where the teachers got together and did it. Yeah, they were cool for once. It was ridiculous. And they had like a dummy, a zombie set up on a table. And the teacher would take your hand and put it, and they had rigged it up. So there was like spaghetti and grapes.
Ew.
So you could feel like you're feeling his guts.
Yeah.
And this was at school during the day. You couldn't have that. Just think about these little
snot-nosed iPad kids.
The iPad kids today, they couldn't stand that.
No, going to people's houses.
Yeah.
Like, I remember that. Now it's all trunk or treat, like in a church
trunk or
parking
treat
lot.
in a church, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, look, kid, if you are easily enough to get kidnapped on a night on Halloween, you're getting got. That's natural selection.
Yeah, it's a sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's Halloween. That's what you're supposed to do.
It's Satan's Day.
Yeah. Well, that's not technically. You know the origin of Halloween.
Yeah, All Hallows Eve.
Yeah, it's a Celtic or Christian Halloween.
Well,
stuff.
according to...
I was going to talk about the history of Halloween, but it's just fucking boring. We would rather ramble about nothing for an hour and a half and make people listen to it.
Yeah, we're not trying to be educational.
No,
on this
we're going to talk about we're going to talk about some ghost stories and stuff here in a bit, but I just thought we would share our memories. I do remember that being a kid, and I had like a group of friends, and we'd go out. Our parents would be around.
But not like up
and we would go up and down, and we would get these big, ridiculous bags and fill them. We'd go to like multiple neighborhoods on our bikes and fill. What was your favorite? Did you have like a favorite candy to get?
Three Musketeers.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't like peanut butter. My brother was...
You don't like caramel either?
No, I don't like caramel either.
Peanut butter and caramel are so similar. People don't...
It gets stuck in my teeth so easily, and like I think that's the part that gets me. It's not the flavor of it. I like the flavor of it. It's the fact that it gets stuck in there. It's like popcorn. I don't like popcorn anymore. Like as a kid, like I thought it was a delicacy, and then like you get those kernels stuck in your teeth. But like when I was a kid, you know, my mom would help me floss it out and get it out. Yeah. But as an adult, I'm like, this is fucking annoying. I don't want it. I don't want it. Like, or what's it? The kettle corn that's got the caramel on it too. It smells great. It tastes great. Cannot fucking stand it though, because that shit it's popcorn and caramel. It's gonna get in your teeth. And like Three Musketeers, it had the hard shell, but it had that really soft. I don't know what their filling is, but that soft filling. I was addicted to the filling.
I think mousse.
Something like that.
Yeah,
it's good.
Chocolate mousse.
Yeah.
So, fun fact, don't want to dox myself too much, but my father used to work in like the grocery industry, and he would get things before they hit the shelves. Some things that never came out, and I got to have a Three Musketeers product. That it was Three Musketeers Airheads.
Ooh.
And they were delicious.
Were they made out of the mousse too?
Yeah, they was that. It was like an airhead. It was like a chocolate airhead, and they were so good. I had a kid. They would literally pay me like $5 for one, because we had like a big box of them.
Yeah, you had contraband.
We also had Starburst airheads.
Ooh.
All these kind of things. Yeah.
I also, as I've gotten older, the Dum Dum Gum. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like yellow wrapper and it's really pink.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the dumb.
Tastes awful.
You're right.
Love
It
to
was
fucking
chalky.
chew it though.
Yeah. I always like the weirder candies because I could always get a Snicker bar, or you can get those anywheres, but that kind of thing. There'd be like the Jawbreakers,
Yeah.
Runts, those kind of weird candies. I actually have some upstairs.
Yeah.
I found them. They sell them at Dollar General. It's this candy called Bit O' Honey, a bit of honey, and it's like a honey taffy. Yeah.
Like a Werther's Original, but like more.
No, it's like honey.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's kind of caramel, I guess. I'll give you one if you want to try it.
Yeah, I'll
but
try
you
one.
might not like it because you just said you don't like caramel.
Yeah, well, if it gets stuck in my teeth, I won't like it.
You probably won't. It's chew.
Okay,
It's
then.
like honey. It's real chewy. You can smell it though if you want.
Yeah, I'll smell it.
People give out the whole bars. They were goated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we had certain neighborhoods we would hit that we knew they would have the full bars and not
Right.
the little fun size
Yeah.
ones.
That probably was the downfall of Halloween, like mid-maxing like we used to do.
Probably. I don't know. I think it was a little bit of that and then just like parents acting like they cared about their kids.
I mean, this in general is parents being too involved in their kids' lives and their like the dichotomy and the hierarchies that created. Now,
It's like they're involved, like they don't want the kids to get kidnapped or abused or anything,
Well, just
which is
in-
wonderful.
just in
but then
general.
they just like leave them alone on the couch all day.
even going out playing on the playground,
Mm-hmm.
not Halloween, just it's like all supervised. They have things where there's not even like recess. It's just they go out and like play a structured game with the teacher.
Yeah.
They don't run around like. I mean, I'm probably not a good person to speak on that because I was quite the wild child.
Yeah.
But like
With your contraband.
yeah, and I learned things about myself though, and everything's too supervised. But the world is also a lot smaller. People are more aware of how creepy people are.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that kids still have fun here and there. I won't know. I don't have any children. I've never spawned,
Yeah.
reproduced, but
I don't plan on passing genes either.
good.
Yeah. It's honestly for the best of society. Like, you're joking, but I'm not. I'm mentally ill enough. I don't need to make little shitlins
I couldn't
that
tell.
are just like me. No,
I couldn't tell.
I mean, no, we didn't have structured play in school when I was in school. Exactly. But, like, I do remember...
Right.
So it was like you could either go play dodgeball or you could go play in the field and, like, do tag or something like that. But, like, when half the time they don't even want to go outside.
Yeah,
Like, truly, these kids are so out of touch.
I know.
I think that's why it's going down. It's because we care so much about it because we had good Halloweens.
Yeah.
But they have been inside.
It was
their
an
whole
event.
life.
Yeah.
It was an event.
Most of them never gone to like a carnival or anything
Yeah.
like their
Or
fair.
the fair. Yeah.
I remember like we get outside, the teacher, it wasn't Halloween, it was just recess. And this teacher, name was Mrs. Rhoda-Beck. We called her Rhoda Bitch.
Mm-hmm.
She'd go out and she'd, you kids don't get in fights, behave. And she'd smoke a cigarette and
Oh my God.
read an Entertainment Weekly while we're just out there punching and kicking and throwing kids. We took a kid, like stuck his face in mud,
Yeah.
like put our feet in the back of his head.
That's not the worst thing you've done.
No,
Yeah.
well, we could talk about that some other day. But
No.
Yeah, and, like,
we would.
is that better though? Was that better?
Because then at least you were like outside playing, like,
Drowning kids in mud,
Yeah.
scarring them for life.
Fuck that kid. Fuck that kid. Like,
I don't
grow
know.
up.
We were
get
mean.
better. Fight back. I think that.
You talk.
Sorry. I will work on it. I swear.
You're really giggly today. You're having a great.
Oh, I've had 2 coffees.
You had 2 coffees.
Yeah.
You're smoking that whatever the fuck that shiny thing.
Lost Mary Berry Crush Ice.
Yeah, that's great. I got to get another something drink. I don't even care. This episode's, You could talk.
Okay.
Talk. I'll be back.
Hmm.
Oh, now you can't talk. Fill the fucking hour.
I will. This light looks amazing. We're getting into it. Yeah.
You come over here. You're high as a fucking kite. Are you high?
No.
No?
No.
You have a problem.
Again, mentally ill.
Maybe we could do like a quick intervention on make a podcast out of it.
Maybe.
We were talking about Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be this hard.
No.
I don't know. Is there any like... So when I was little and trick-or-treating, I do remember there was always that house you never wanted to go to.
Yeah.
It was creepy. I almost call it like folklore.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever have any like thing like that growing up? Like a lot of... I know you've talked about things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of houses around here are kind of decrepit in certain regions. Close to where we lived. So, like, talking about the good neighborhoods.
Right.
That was like a 5-minute drive down the road, but where I was around... Still, not shacks, but that's my toe.
Yeah, it's on my side.
No, it's not.
Okay, what did we talk about? There's a line.
Yeah. Okay. Come here. Come parallel with the
table. You moved your fucking foot.
No, I have not. I will move my foot, and there will be. Look, there's an indention in the carpet.
It doesn't work like that. You put your heel, and if you point your foot, like you're pointing your nasty feet on my side.
Do you want to hold toes?
I'm not joking with you. I don't want your feet touching me.
Here, just let's.
So I'm gonna get a stick and smack you. Like, stop it.
Just have your toes under my toes, and I'll hold your toes.
You know how I feel about feet.
You'll be fine. There. How about that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Back to Halloween.
Like, you can't...
When we would leave our neighborhood, there's still little shacks and stuff.
Everywhere, where you lived, everywhere is a shack.
Basically, no, like we had like Century 21 homes, like those like homes that they build after they like ship them across the country.
Right.
So those were the nice houses, right, in my neighborhood.
Okay.
The double wides. But there was one house. We don't know for sure if meth was actually cooked in that house. But you know what I'm talking about. It had that look. It looked like smoky.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they always decorated their house for Halloween. And nobody would go to that house.
Oh.
Absolutely nobody. Like, I remember teenagers would, because they were like, fuck it. What if there's a serial killer in there? And, wanted to be like edgy and shit. But that's about it. And, like, I knew that there was an old man that lived there. I don't think he had a family, but he was, like, scrawny. He looked like Withers from Baldur's Gate 3. Like, homie was scary looking.
Yeah. He's probably a meth head.
Probably. Yeah, that's why I said we don't know for sure. The house never got condemned. It never got foreclosed. Like, even after 2008. He lived in it till he died. And, like, they cleaned it up and sold it. So, and I know you can't do that with meth houses.
When you came over here,
yeah,
I'm like, let's talk about how I thought I was going to get all because you're always going on about ghosts and spirits. I thought I was going to be blown away, and you're just like, I'm like,
supernatural.
I'm like, talk about something spooky, and you're telling me about a meth head.
Yeah,
let me tell. Okay, let me give you an example. When I was little, there was an area called Warsaw, and there was the Warsaw Horror Mom, and it was this crazy giant woman. She had a fishing pole, and she had cats on the end of that fishing pole. And she would throw the cats at you, and they would stick to you. This is the legend. And she would reel you in. The cats would hold on to you, and you get like, oh no, the cats. And they reel you in, and she put you in a big sack. And then when you went in the sack, you turned into a cat. And that's how she got the cat to you.
For the fishing line.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Okay, you're talking about real folklore. Like,
well, there was sightings, people thought that was real.
Oh, bullshit.
What do you mean bullshit?
You're like, it was like teenagers fucking with you as a kid.
You're like, okay, I was out in my backyard and there was a bush and Papa was like, oh, there's a ghost, get inside. And I tell you that and you're like, what's bullshit? How does that bullshit?
The bag turns you into
the Warsaw Horror Mom. The bag turns you into a cat.
Yeah, I would, if you would have been like, she takes your soul out and puts it in a dead cat, then I would have been more into it, but.
Okay. But that's what we thought was going to happen. That was a real problem that was going on. Like, if you saw this woman...
How big are we talking?
I don't know.
Did she have a bob?
A bob? What do you mean?
Like the haircut.
I have no idea.
You never saw her?
No, I never saw her. She's not real.
See? When I talk about supernatural stuff, it's real.
Talk about supernatural stuff.
Okay.
Tell us about Halloween and tie it into Halloween.
Well, okay. The veil is going to be very thin. I've talked to you about that
veil?
before.
Oh, the veil between life.
Yeah.
When is this happening?
It usually happens about 3 days before Halloween and about 2 days after Halloween.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
What's going to happen those days?
Okay, so Dias de los Muertos? I can't speak Spanish, but my accent gets in the way. But you know what I'm talking about? Day of the Dead?
Yes.
Okay, and they talk about leaving the flowers, even though that's May the 5th, but leaving the flowers and doing all that.
Right.
Well, they're kind of the same deal, but have you ever had, we call it not dinner at my house, but it's you kind of do the same thing as Day of the Dead, where you invite the family that's passed on, and you set the table and you make their favorite foods.
Yes.
So potato salad's my grandma's favorite, my great grandmother. So I'll make potato salad. My papa really liked bologna sandwiches, like my mom's dad. Put the bologna sandwiches, all that kind of stuff. And you invite them to the table and you kind of just share dinner, even though there's nothing really going on. Sometimes people will have lights flicker or maybe feel a little bit something else. My family was Christian, so my guess is they're in their heaven. I think when you die, you go to whatever you think is going to happen. So I think their consciousness is passed on, but usually you do this a year after they passed and you have not dinner. For me, I do it every year. But that's...
Do you think you're going to heaven?
No.
I know you're not.
Absolutely not.
All the Uncle...
Me? No.
You did the Uncle Trim and shit?
Yeah. Oh, fuck. I'm the horrible... Yeah. I'm definitely going to hell. But it'll be a party. I'm going to be the hype man.
The initial idea for this episode was to talk about how do you become a ghost. And
that's conflicting.
Again, this was kind of impromptu, and I looked at that subject, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. There's way too many theories about that.
Well, why do you want to... if you're a ghost, why do you want to go why would a ghost want to hang out with you? Why does Papa want to go eat that nasty potato salad? If I were a ghost, I'd go to a nice place and I'd hang out there. Or
I totally get the argument.
Go to a strip club,
yeah.
something like that.
Something cool. I think it's like a family reunion. You're kind of required to show up.
Oh, so you have to like the person.
Yeah. And I think they liked me all right.
Well, what's your theory about why ghosts exist? How do you become a ghost?
I think it's a mix between probably the trauma. It could be the trauma of the death or the trauma of the soul. Or it could probably be... I think you hear of unfinished business a lot.
Yes,
but I don't think that's
say
it.
They say that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's the only thing. I think it's layered. Unfinished business could be so for my papa Ricky, for example.
This isn't Papa, the evil guy.
No, he's still
that
around.
Everybody hates.
No, this Papa, he Appalachian through and through, died of opiates. So
okay.
I think that's unfinished business. He died suddenly, didn't expect it coming, did something that obviously is going to give him that result, but, he's, as every addicted person thinks, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Oh, I can control it. Oh, I know how to handle it. Took too many pills, passed away. Unfinished business. He also died way ahead of his time. So, how people that get sick and they expect it to happen, I don't think those people become ghosts because they have that mental preparedness ahead of time to say, okay, yeah, I've got cancer. I'm not going to make it.
Is being a ghost a negative thing?
No. I don't think so.
Because it's often...
I don't think it's a punishment. I believe in ghosts. I think what happens is that they didn't expect it. They weren't prepared. They don't even know. To them, they are alive and we're the ghosts.
How... sorry.
Yeah.
What kind of superpowers do you get? Can you walk through walls? Can you still have sex? Can you masturbate?
That's been debated.
Eat? Can you eat? Can you throw... I don't think you can eat.
Mm-mm.
Here's what I know. I've heard a lot. I know a lot about it too, because I think it's funny. Do you think that human beings produce some kind of energy?
Yeah.
And if that energy is strong enough, or an emotion that happens in a certain time and a place is so powerful, often negative, Gettysburg, especially around here. Well, maybe not around here. This is where we're at. But there's a lot of talks about Gettysburg ghosts, and a lot of talks about ghosts in terrible places and doing terrible things. You actually never hear about them in graveyards, which is interesting. I know there's such people.
No, there's some.
But why would they be there? their bodies. I don't know, but let me get what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And all this negative energy is so powerful that it continues on after life. And that's why they're there, because it's imprinted on reality.
Oh, you think it's absorbed by
Yes, that's what I've heard. And it's like an energy that lasts. And sometimes they say it's almost like a photograph or a video replaying itself. And that's what they're seeing. Where I've heard a story, somebody told me that they were, this is wild, but they were in a building, it was around Gettysburg, and they opened a door where they were at, and it was like they were in a surgery of like an old, tent surgery of like an old hospital, and like after a war, and they were like amputating a guy, and they all stopped and looked at him. Was that even a ghost though, or is that some kind of time slip? Who knows? But if it was a time slip, why wasn't that written down back then? You think that they would have? And what about the super positive? If their super joyous thing happened, can that emotion not be as powerful as a negative emotion, a horrible emotion? Or people who are in a positive mood generally don't die while it's happening. If something happens so good to somebody, and then they die, or die shortly after, will that energy carry on to be a ghost? That feeling, that emotion?
I think it can. And I know what you're talking about the snapshot and the
Yeah, I kind of went
time
off on a
loops.
different thing.
I know like wood is said to absorb a lot of that energy.
Well, the crystals is something.
Crystals
I don't know if I believe any of it, but.
Well, okay. Going back to the Civil War.
You mean wood like a tree, right?
No, I'm talking about like wood like in a house.
But not like a penis.
No.
Okay. Just making
possible.
sure.
I mean, if someone dies on your dick, maybe.
Yeah.
But
Ow.
I think old hospitals, they have bullets in them. I think this is Gettysburg that this building I'm talking about is in, but it will kind of take a picture, like you said. I think, and kind of like I said, like there's something that happened so quickly, so traumatic that they cannot process it. So
Right.
there's some that are not intelligent, and what I mean by intelligent is that they don't realize
Yeah,
that
that's
they've
what I'm
passed on,
saying.
and they are in that time loop. They're just repeating the motions of the day they died. They're making their rounds, or they're working on somebody, or they were sick and they're like in the bed like coughing and dying. Or if they are intelligent, it's possible that we go into a different territory and it's a creature like a demon or something that does know what it's doing. Or it could be a ghost maybe doing its unfinished business. And by unfinished business, it's like finally piecing together that, okay, maybe I'm not here anymore. And maybe what I'm seeing, like when this person comes in with jeans and this woman has shorts on and she's not being burned as a witch. Okay, maybe I'm not in the right time.
She's voting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's got rights. That person probably, once they realize what's going on, that's probably when they start to pass on. And then...
Why would you want to pass on?
Because you're tired of being in the same spot, maybe in the spot that you died, or maybe you've already figured everything out and there's nothing else for you to do. Maybe being a ghost is purgatory. Maybe it's like that in-between spot while you're waiting in the queue to get sent off, or it could be you need to figure something out for yourself, or you need to get what you need done.
Interesting thing you brought up, like you called it a snapshot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's an actual technical term that these ghost hunter people have, but there's different types of ghosts. It's actually a very American thing that there's only like one overlapping term for ghost. Mm-hmm. But like in other cultures, Japan is a great example.
Yeah.
China, Asia, Europe, a lot of Europe, like Ireland, there's different types of ghosts and different purposes. Poltergeist is one I think a lot of people know. It's the noisy ghost. But one of the ones that always interested me growing up is this very rare creature. It's supposedly rare. Mm-hmm. It's from a place called Leap Castle in Ireland, where horrific things happened. Horrific things. I could probably dedicate an entire episode. We should have just done that. I should have just read about Leap Castle. But it was ruled by madmen for centuries, this Irish castle, and peasants and enemies and all sorts of people were killed in the most brutal ways. There literally was something called an oubliette, where it's a term used for a dungeon or some kind of cell where you would just forget people. Oh. And they literally just took people and crammed them under like floorboards in a dark dungeon, no food or anything, just like 20-some people just put them down there and just sealed it off and left them down there to starve and die. Just and they remained alive for a while.
Yeah.
And they were banging, trying to get out.
Probably eating some of them.
Probably eating each other,
Yeah.
shitting everywhere. There's babies, women, men, children down there. And supposedly it spawned this creature that's been cited. I think they called it the elemental it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's some Irish thing. I think it has like an Irish name. I can't pronounce. I'm not going to try it.
Yeah.
What am I doing? We have technology. Give me a second.
Okay, I have not heard anything about this castle.
It came right up. Leap Castle. I don't like ghost stories where it's like, oh, this thing's like making noise. I like to see things.
Mm-hmm.
I like interactive things. Like a lot of my favorite alien abduction stories, for instance, is when the aliens get out and like people fist fight them, like the
like the kangaroos.
Yeah, well, the famous the Kentucky. I went there with fucking Caleb.
Kangaroo Court, Caleb?
Yeah, that Caleb. Hold on. This is that the Hopkinsville goblins, aliens, where they were attacking the house and like these like hillbillies were shooting at them. I'll tell you. Yeah. So yeah, it came right up actually. Lit Castle, the Elemental. How about I read this?
Yeah.
This is from the website. I mean, it's just basically a tourist attraction now. The Elemental is one of the most interesting spirits that resides at Leap Castle. It is an entity that is shrouded in mystery and intrigue. The first encounter, origin, and exact nature of the Elemental are unknown, but there are many theories that have circulated over the years. One early belief is that the Elemental was put there by the Druids long ago before the castle was built to protect the sacred site used for initiations in Druid magic. Another theory is that the Elemental was placed there by an invading force to burn the castle from inside. It's interesting because this is nothing anywhere close to what I thought.
Yeah.
I had heard it was a combination of all the horrible death that had gone on there.
I mean, maybe if you scroll down, it'll touch
I'm looking,
on that.
yeah. Local myth says that the Elemental is a spirit of an ancient O'Carroll who died in the O'Carroll was died of leprosy, and that's what gave it the disturbing appearance. I didn't even tell you what this thing looks like yet.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It was first cited, and I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, by Mildred Darby, who coincidentally was a science fiction writer.
Oh. Interesting.
Yeah. She dabbled in the occult. Her activities focused on seances. Oh, if you want to have a fun afternoon, I'll tell you about these old seances these people used to do.
Oh, yeah.
They're hilarious, but some think that it was her dabbling that woke up the Elemental. Around this time, they discovered the horrific discovery of the oubliette that I was talking about. 3 cartloads of bones, approximately 150 bodies. See, and when I talked about this, I thought it was like 20 people, so I was wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't memorize these stupid, The huge release of emotional energy linked the spirits in the oubliette upon discovery may have been enough to wake the dormant spirit. That's it. This is interesting because I always heard it was like, yeah. Whatever it is, I'm paraphrasing, I'm not going to read all this, but whatever the entity is, the only seems to make the presence known when people begin to provoke it. It's very rare. It's not something a lot of people see. Okay, so this is Mildred Darby's actual account, so I'm going to read that.
Okay.
Suddenly, 2 hands were laid on my shoulder. I turned around sharply and saw, as clearly as I see now, a gray thing standing a couple of feet from me, with its bent arms raised as if it were cursing me. I cannot describe in words how utterly awful the thing was. Its very undefinableness rendering the horrible shadow more gruesome. Human in shape, a little shorter than I am. I could just make out the shape of big black holes like great eyes and sharp features. But the whole figurehead face, hands and all, was gray, unclean, bluish gray. Something of the color of an appearance of common cotton wool. But oh, so sinister, repulsive, and devilish. My friends, who are clever about occult things, says it was what they call an elemental. The thing was about the size of a sheep, thin, gaunt, and shadowy in parts. Its face was human, or to be more accurate, inhuman in its vileness, with large black holes for eyes, loose, slobbery lips, and a thick saliva-dripping jaw slopping back suddenly into its neck. Nose it had none, only spreading cavernously cavities. Oh, sorry, this is a tongue twister. Only spreading cavernous cavities. So it didn't have a nose, it just had like the nose, like skull.
Uh-huh.
The whole face being a uniform tint of gray. This, too, was the color of the dark, coarse hair covering its head, neck, and body. Its forearms were thickly coated with the same hair. So were its paws, large and loose, and hand-shaped. And it sat on its hind legs. One hand a paw was raised, and a claw-like finger was extended ready to scratch the paint. Its lustrous eyes, which seemed half decomposed and looked incredibly foul, stared into mine, and the horrible smell, which had before offended my nostrils, only 100 times intensified, came up to my face, filling me with the deadly nausea. I noticed the lower half of the creature was undefined and seemed semi-transparent at least. I could see the framework of the door that led into the gallery through its body. That lady was a sci-fi writer, so probably...
It definitely sounded like a writer.
People have seen it, and or claimed to have seen it. And
it could be a lump of everybody that was in that thing.
You think so?
It sounds
it
like
gets compared to a lamb.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. And also the other thing associated with it is the smell of rotting flesh.
Yeah, but that's usually a poltergeist kind of...
I thought a poltergeist
smell.
was more of...
it's like
smell.
sulfur and death.
I thought a poltergeist was always like... I'd always heard that was energy rather than an entity.
Yeah.
That it was usually a person in the house was causing the problem subconsciously with like telekinetic powers. But I don't know. I'm not the expert.
Yeah, it... Because like, well, when I say poltergeist, like... Just think of all those people in the dark.
Right.
Eating each other and, like,
doing
all of that and shitting and pissing in the same area.
Yeah.
All of that energy could have created this. Because, like, I couldn't even imagine, like, I don't know what it looks like, but, like, I'm sure it was disgusting. And the way that she's describing the smell, it just sounds kind of demonic.
Yeah.
So, like, it could be an entity that fed on those people while they were going through that, or it could be... those people created that entity through their pain. That's my two theories on it, but I have never heard of this castle, so I don't know. I'd have to do it.
It's definitely worth... Maybe we could do a whole episode on that.
That'd be cool.
We should have just done that. I would have, if I would have thought of it. I think what ghosts have turned into versus what they used to be viewed as has been very interesting. I always like it when they're more castle ghosts or like mysterious. I don't like this like super like mid-max, like, okay, now we have these machines where we could talk to them and they never like have anything to say. Yeah. I also find it very interesting that there's always these people in these, you ever watch these ghost shows? You know,
all the time. I still watch ghost
they go to
adventures.
like, they go to like these places talking to like Native Americans. They didn't speak English.
Yeah.
How the fuck are they, like, they can't communicate. It's like going over to Japan and being like, hello, sir, LOL, how are you, my man?
RAR XD.
Yeah, they don't know what you're saying.
I think it goes without saying that a lot of it is just entertainment. And, like, I've been a fan of Ghost Adventures since I was a kid. Like, I'll still watch it for the
I didn't mean to
funny
call
part
out
of
that
it.
show in particular. I just kind of
they get a lot of hot water.
head. Yeah.
But, like, that's the one that I
But
think of.
I will say this, aren't they the ones that are, like, running around, like, come here, you...
Yeah.
Yeah, they're exciting, at least. Yeah.
They do that and to kind of encourage, like, it's always done in the way of, like, kind of how that said, like, it pops up when people piss it off. They're trying to get that reaction, but, like, what you say about, like, they don't speak our English.
Yeah.
Even if they did speak
They
English,
don't speak only English, yeah.
our English now.
Right.
So it's like, I'm sure they're confused, but then going back to what we said earlier, I don't think they get a lot of activity because a lot, and I'm saying like maybe 80 to 75% of these ghouls and ghosts that are out aren't, like, they don't have the idea that they're a ghost. Like, in their mind, they are just walking through their house, like, on a normal Tuesday. You know, they don't have the
What happens
consciousness
when
anymore.
they do know, though? And that's something to be harnessed, isn't it?
I do think that there are some that know, or it could be My grandmother, like Meemaw, she thinks that it's demons tricking people.
Well, if Meemaw thinks it, then it's probably true.
Probably.
She is wise.
She is wise.
She thinks it, I'm not gonna bash. I've heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard that it's some not human in nature.
I think if it is really intelligent and it can speak very quickly, that it's probably not human.
You know, I play D&D.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
We're nerds. Do you know why my characters never make deals with demons?
Because they're tricky little bastards.
Because demons are ancient and old, and their entire existence is spread around the fact of tricking and finding loopholes and stuff.
They're like the Fae.
I always thought it was really funny that people... So why would you ever make a deal with something like that if you know that it's like designed to destroy you?
I think they have that mentality of I'm different.
Do you know that
I'm built different.
you're special? You're the Barbie girl.
Me?
No, not you.
Oh.
The theoretical character you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know, not Ghost Adventures, but when I was younger, there used to be this show on called Most Haunted. And it was one of my favorite shows. It was really fun. You've probably never seen it. It was on the Travel.
It's kind of tickling my head.
The Travel Channel.
Yeah.
And it was Britain.
Mm-hmm.
They went to Leap Castle.
Mm.
And I'm sure it was very fake. And it was this little British lady who had a bowl haircut. She looked like a Pekingese, like a pug. She had these big eyes, and they kind of pointed, like really big eyes.
Yeah.
I wonder
like
if
Edna Mode.
Actually, a little bit.
Yeah.
She was. I'm kind of being mean. She was really like kind of seemed sweet, and she would
You being mean? No way.
Yeah. Well, I feel there she is.
Let me see.
This is not her hair.
At the
Yvette Fielding. That's her when she's young. I watched it when she was older.
Yeah.
And she would go in these places, and she'd go into this dank, shitty castle. We're here at the castle. It's supposed to be haunted by the crotchety Scotsman. And the highlight of the show was Derek Accord, or Derek Acora, who's this greased up dude, effeminate dude with an earring, and his hair, gray hair, slicked back. Mm-hmm. He was the medium. He would talk to the ghost. What a showman.
Mm-hmm.
What just a performer. He's died. He's passed away.
Aw.
And I loved him because he was so full of shit. He wouldn't he wouldn't tell you what was going on. Mm-hmm. He would just walk in a room and he'd close his eyes and he'd be like, oh dear. Oh, I feel what's going on in here. Oh God. Oh, it's nasty. There's a nasty spirit in here. And he would just play it up. And every episode he'd get possessed. by whatever there. Every episode it happened. One time he got like possessed by a mean guy, and so he was like, "You get out!" And he starts swinging his arms and like hitting the lady and pushing her,
calling her a bitch.
And other time he got possessed by like a little kid, and he would go and like giggle and cry. And this one lady, my favorite was this lady who was like in a hospital, mm-hmm. and he grabbed his like titty, mm-hmm. and he's like, I died from the cancer. The breast cancer killed me. And they're like, well, we want to help you pass on, dear. He's like, I'm not ready to pass on. And that was my favorite ghost show because it was fun. And I think he fought the elemental id.
Did he?
I'm not trying to go on a big thing, but I think that's where I read. Well,
that's probably what.
No, it's not. There's actually I'll get it in a second. Let me find Derek. I'm going to show you a picture of
they made a show kind of like that.
Oh, here he is.
More modern.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The fake tan on this man.
Look at him. And he was a psychic. He could read minds and mm-hmm. But so the thing,
Jesus Christ. He needs to get out of the tanning bed.
And it's actually was the what inspired this podcast, but it's not even anything like this, was In Search Of. With Leonard Nimoy, who played Mr. Spock. Yeah. He had a show where he talked about ghosts and stuff and all mysteries. And that in the 70s started this craze where they made like Unsolved Mysteries and all these ghost shows and Bigfoot shows.
X-Files and shit.
X-Files, and
mm-hmm.
it's only increased. And so it's become so mainstream. I hate saying that, but like mainstream. But back when I was younger in the 90s, there would be like crazy fucking just like TV specials. Mm-hmm. And that's where I learned about the elemental id. I could probably find that TV special. Maybe if we do Doomed to Watch, we could watch it. Okay. Where they had like a puppet thing that was like attacking the lady.
Yeah.
And that's we have the technology. I could find it.
The technology.
But I loved Derek. I loved when they did like it was before live streams, so they did like a 24 hour thing where they would like be in a castle. There would just be like, noises, like there'd be a bang and they're like, what's that? I gotta get out of here. They freaked. Oh, I found it.
Hmm?
This was the puppet they used. That's the face of it.
Ew.
Yeah, it's like a Miss Piggy looking thing.
Oh god.
Maybe that'll be the thumbnail of this, but oh man, that's why I like, this is what I wanted, these like repressed memories of that.
There was this one show, I don't remember what it's called. I'm trying to find it for you, but it was on the Discovery Channel and it would come on like before or after Ghost Adventures. The lady was the medium, and then there was a slick back Italian mob looking dude that was the investigator. Yeah.
What's that?
So, like, if the family was like, we think we have our great aunt as a ghost here in our house, like, he would go through the history and their genealogy and, like, figure out who this person they're claiming it is and find out if they were real or not. And then, like, she would come in and be like, he would have that information on hand, but he wouldn't tell her anything. And then,
Yeah.
Then she would go through and be like, there's like a old lady here. And they're like, yeah. And he's like, that's great Aunt Beth. And she goes, yeah, she said something about Beth. And like, she would go around. She wouldn't get possessed every episode, but she would definitely, like, her husband was the cameraman for them. And he would be like, hey, I really need to take her out of the house right now. Like, she's getting too into it. I need to have her step back. She's putting too much of herself into it. I don't remember what that show's called, though. But it was on the Discovery Channel.
There's so many of them.
Or the Travel Channel at the time. I don't know.
I'm trying to find him being possessed. Oh my god, here he goes. There's so many. There are so many fucking. I just typed in Derek Cora possessed. And there's so many clips. I want to. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do this today. Yeah. But like, I should have been more. If I were more prepared, we could have pulled up a clip. But
yeah, we could have done that. But it's okay.
It's all right. This is not what this is about. Just.
Jeez, like.
What happened to entertainment?
Reality TV.
Yeah, that was reality TV technically, but I liked it better when they would. I don't like like I said, I don't like the boring ghost where it's like, oh, there's something in my house that walks at night. It's like, fuck, tell it to shut up.
Yeah.
Like, I like
Does
it when
pay rent?
Yeah, I like it when the ghosts are like doing stuff. Like, I need something exciting. Like, I want to see something. I don't care, like, if a book flies off a shelf, I could do that.
Yeah. I mean, I've never lived in a haunted location. Mima and Papa have. They, like, had that kind of snapshot ghost where it would just walk around and, like, not really fuck with them.
Mima and Papa are famous, like, liars and cheats, so they probably are just making it up.
They aren't. That woman's so fucking terrified.
They're awful people.
Mima and Papa, like, they had lived in a haunted house with a snapshot ghost, like the ones you don't like, where they just walk around. They don't really
like antagonize
the family, yeah. It was an old farmhouse. A lot of shit happened in that farmhouse. They didn't really, like, have, like, history. It's not like they, like, dug into it or tried to figure out what it was. It was just like, okay, we live with this thing, I guess. And, like, Mima is super superstitious about stuff like that, as, like, we've talked about. You were talking about, like, in cemeteries, you don't see them being very haunted. Well, we have, like, 2 cemeteries back home that are investigated by people, and, like, they say they're haunted.
They're probably lying.
Possibly.
Who do you believe, me or them?
I mean, Nick, like, my husband Nick's been there, and he's had shit happen to him there. So, like, Bethesda, it's an hour drive away from where I grew up, but it's in Morristown, Tennessee.
Why?
Because people can go and visit.
You're telling people where you live.
That's an hour away from where I used to live.
Oh,
I don't live there anymore.
Where is Morristown?
It's close to Sevierville.
We're
it's
in
like
Tennessee.
A small
Surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
But Bethesda was like a part of the Confederate. It had a hospital, and they were stationed there for a little bit. And like the Union was holding the line and being stationed. I remember doing a project about this in school, and they were like basically starving, and they were running out of medical supplies. So a lot of people died in that little church that's Bethesda. And Nick decided to drive down there one night close to Halloween with some of his buddies, and they go out there and they bring a Ouija board, which my grandmother, no one in my family would ever let me purchase or own or touch one of those things. Like, that's actual shit. Like, Ouija boards, I think everyone can agree, should not have been a child's game.
Okay. That's the little
planchette.
It's made by
and
Hasbro.
moves. Yeah. But
And you believe that has power.
I don't believe that the board itself has power. I think that it can be used for divination.
What is it about that? How does that work? Because, like, what's the difference between me?
It's like setting a mirror across from another mirror. It turns it into a portal.
You're not... Okay, but I could take a piece of paper and write down... Copy a Ouija board. Does that become a Ouija board?
I think it works.
What is it about that plastic paper and symbols that does that? Tell me. Is it like necromancy? Like, I want to know this kind of stuff.
Okay, so like tarot cards. You know how you can like get answers through tarot cards?
I don't know. No, I don't know that.
We've talked about it a little bit, but like basically you can get like...
What is it about that plastic that makes, or the paper that makes it power?
It doesn't. That's
what
just
does
a
it?
tool that can use it.
Why do you need the tool?
Because it's hard to hear.
What are you talking about? Hard to hear? What do you mean?
Ghosts!
You don't understand what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
Fundamentally.
Okay.
What is it about
Uh-huh.
the plastic and the paper and
That
stuff
Meemaw doesn't want me to touch
that gives it power?
Yeah.
How does that invoke that? Is it is it like you said divination? Is it like a mental thing?
I don't think it's a mental thing. No. I think, okay, divination, going into that. If you want to communicate with something that's not on the same plane as you, or like if you want to communicate with something like a deity or a ghost or a demon or whatever, it can use that easily because all you have to do is be the tool itself. Like, you touch the planchette and you can swear up and down that you're not moving that motherfucker, but it's moving, right? I'm trying to word this correctly. Because of like the fear that they've put into me, I don't want to try it myself, but Nick has tried it. And when he put his fingers on there, it was just him, and everybody's just around him because everybody grew up with the same superstition of don't touch this.
If you don't mind me reminding.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
It's like a different thing. Yeah.
He doesn't know about it. Yeah, he's like, y'all are full of shit. This isn't. So he puts his hands on it, and this is Confederate soldiers, by the way. So never seen an Asian man in their lifetime. But he's like sitting there, and I hit the mic. He's sitting there, and he's moving it. And they're like, quit moving it. This isn't funny. We really want to know if it works. And he's like, I'm not doing shit. Like, my arms are getting that tingly feeling, you know? Like, when you've been laying on your arm too long. He's like, I feel weird. And so he takes his hand off. And when he takes his hand off, it shifts a little bit, but it stops. I think you were saying that we can make energy. I think when you put your hands on the planchette, you're turning yourself into the tool. You're becoming... they can use your energy and like kind of influence you to start moving. You don't understand, that it's happening, not in the same way. It's not like they're whispering in your ear to like spell out yes or, go over to no or whatever. It's more like, it's like your intuition, you feel like, oh, this is where this wants to go. And you kind of just move on your own.
How do you know it's not psychological?
It could be. It totally could be. I'm not going to deny that. I think for it being Nick, and him literally not knowing anything about the board. Like, that he was like, why don't y'all want to touch this?
But there's a crowd of people around him.
Yeah.
And they're like coaching him.
And I can totally, no, they just like, they're like, put your hands on it. It'll move if it moves. Like, don't move it yourself. That's all he knew. And he's sitting there and he's like moving this thing around. They think he's fucking with them. They think he's moving it around to mess with them. And they're like, quit moving it. He's saying, no, I'm getting pins and needles. Like, I'm just moving it where I feel like it wants to go. Like, he's moving it, sure. But he's like, I feel like it wants to do this. Or I feel like it, like, I'm just doing what I think is right. And it's like 4 of them together. So him and the 3 others, they're sitting there and they're like, were you on the battlefield when you died? Like, were you da-da-da-da-da? And they're focused on the board and they hear behind them talking, and so they're like, oh well shit, other people are here, crap, we need to scoot. They thinking it's cops, right?
Uh-oh.
And so they're looking around, they don't see police lights, they're looking around, and then this is the bad part of the story. Nick looks over at the church and he sees someone poking their head out, and he's just like, hey, you want to join us? Hey. And then something starts cussing him out
No.
from over there. It's like, fucking leave. Like, move on. You know? And he's like...
Was it a ghost?
Well, he thinks it was.
Okay.
And then I'm getting into it. He's like, hey, man, we were here first. Fuck you, bitch. Like, you know, he's cussing it back.
He would do that, wouldn't he?
Yes, but he thought it was a person. He's like, fuck you, bitch. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
He's trying to fight the ghost.
And it steps out more, and it looks like a white man in gray clothes.
No.
And he's like, huh, that's weird. That's suspicious. And... you know, the Confederate soldiers wore a gray uniform and all that. And he's just like, fuck you, man. You're scaring the shit out of us. You need to leave. We were here first, right?
Yeah.
And then he gets called the N-word.
Ooh.
Hard R gets called the N-word from this person. And so he thinks it's a real person. So he gets up and he's like, oh, you want to talk to me? He starts walking towards it. Oh, you want to talk shit? You want to go? You want to fight, bitch? And as he's walking towards this person, he's getting fuzzier and fuzzier and fuzzier. And then the Ouija board starts going fucking nuts. He has moved from the board. These bitches won't touch it. It starts shifting around like crazy. Like it's making scratching noises on the board, scratching the paint on the board. And then it stops moving. He doesn't see that person anymore. They're freaked out at this point. They leave the Ouija board where it's at, and they leave. They go over to somebody's, like, had family, I think a grandparent that lived close by, so they go over to the grandparent's house. And when I say close by, I mean you could throw a rock from grandparent's house and hit one of those stones, one of those grave markers out there. That's how close their grandparent lived. But he's freaked out. He's like, no, I'm going all the way the fuck back home.
Yeah.
I don't want to be close to this place. Something just, you know, whoever that dude was called me the N-word. Obviously, they don't like me. So he leaves. He goes home.
What happened to the guy? He just vanished?
Just in front of his face. Vanished. He like.
Did the other people see him?
The other people saw him. He came around the side of the building. Like, so he was like peeking out from the building like this. He went around the building to think this motherfucker ran off. Because he doesn't have great eyesight. So he thinks, it's my eyes. He goes around. Cannot find the fucking guy. And if the guy was real and he was running from Nick, when he would have went around the building, and if he would have ran off, they would have saw him. But they don't know where the fucker went. They're like, okay. And he looks into the church, and there's no natural light, but he's got his phone, so he turns on the flashlight on the phone. Doesn't see anyone in that building, so they book it. He goes back home. One of his friends stays at his grandparents' house, and he sees where they were sitting. He sees the Ouija board still there. I think they stayed up till like 4 a.m. Nick probably would have left around 2.
Gotcha.
About that time. And they keep going out and looking out the window and just checking to see if somebody like hides, like that was hiding, pops out. Because they don't think it's a ghost. They're like, somebody's fucking with them. And Nick was really pissed. Like he thought he actually was entertaining a guy, not a ghost. Yeah. He thought he was talking to a man. He gets a call from one of his friends. I don't remember his name. This happened like 10 years ago. But he calls him and he goes, hey, did you grab like the planchette off the Ouija board before you left? He's like, no, why would I take that? That's y'all's game. And he goes, well, we've been watching out the window and like it looked like it was still on there when you left, but now it's gone. But the board's still out there. Remember, they didn't want to touch it. They left it where it was. The planchette was on there scratching the shit out of the paint. So they're like, all right, fuck it. We're going to bed. They go to bed. And the next morning, they go over there just to pick it up and get the trash out of there. Like, they had, like, probably, like, Coke cans or something. They ran. Yeah. Like, they just fucking abandoned it. So they go to clean it up. And they got up pretty early, like 8 a.m. And the board is still scratched from the planchette. But the planchette's missing. It's not anywhere close to the board. They even went in like a circle, like a little radius, trying to find it. Trying to see if maybe one of them kicked it or something. Cannot fucking find it. They got rid of the board. I know that. How they disposed of it, I have no clue. They didn't even bring it back into her house. She wouldn't even have it in her house. But the planchette never got found. To my knowledge, it still hasn't been found, but something happened, like they had some type of experience, and the ghost itself, if it was what it was intelligent enough to know Nick's not a white person and call him a slur.
Well,
so I don't think that was like a snapshot ghost.
Well,
I think that one was a little more intelligent. I think it was something fucking with them, but not a human.
Here's the thing. And when the thing that made me kind of spark my mind is if it were the Civil War era, like you're claiming, Civil War Confederate soldier, you're probably right. They may know what like maybe China or Asia or Japan is, but they probably have never seen an Asian person. And
they just see dark skin and black hair.
Yeah, he's a little bit darker complexion for Vietnamese. So they probably would have thought he was a black dude, and they would have called him the N-word. That was a pretty good story actually. And I don't even know if we have time to get into this, but more what I meant was like if I could get like a little bit of plastic and a little bit of paper, put them side by side. That's the same components as a Ouija board, correct?
Basically, yeah.
So what's the difference?
I think it's the person. I think they use you as the tool because we emit energy.
Okay.
I think, like, you could do it with any of those. You could really make your own Ouija board. I don't think that the actual board has anything to do with it. It's just more like the elders think it does.
Okay.
But, I mean, like,
So it's the
like
belief.
It's the belief. And, like, how you were saying, like, the medium. Like, I know we were making fun of him and how he got possessed every episode. But, like, it's kind of that's the tool. You are the tool. Like, not to say people are tools.
That's all right. I know some tools.
Yeah. But, like, you know what I mean.
I have a very good friend who describes herself as a non-denominational eclectic witch. And she's always going on. She's got all these superpowers. And she says it's all belief. She says that's why gods exist, because people believe in them. I asked her, like, well, how do I become a god? And she's like, well, you've got to get, like, a cult. And I'm like, well, I can do that.
Yeah.
She's like, well, you got to have people believe in you. And I realized on YouTube, people are paying, like, people from, like, the Mideast and, like, India to, like, copyright videos and, like, get money and, like, debt collect. They've got all these, like, little, I don't want to call them sweatshops, but, like, call centers with, like, Indian people that are, like, bothering you, like, debt collectors. I'm like, can I pay those people to believe that I'm a god and get this system going?
Yeah.
How do you become like a ghost though? Like how do you become immortal like that? That's an interesting thing because in like D&D, and I like my liches, the lich.
Yeah.
You take your soul out of your body and put it in a phylactery and then you're immortal. How do you do that? I know that like I've heard about like a haunted doll, like a haunted painting or piano or something.
Mirror, whatever.
How does that happen? How do I haunt something? I don't know why I'm asking you. I don't think you know.
I don't think I know.
This is just a hypothetical.
Yeah. I think, okay, best theory though, you gotta like purchase something or maybe have something that means a lot to you. Maybe if you like continue to let that be your favorite thing and you play with it or touch it or whatever all the time. Like, let's say for a mirror example, like if you're like doing your hair in that specific mirror.
It sounds like you're talking about a penis.
I know. I realized when it came out how it was going to sound.
So you'd have to cut your penis.
Maybe. You could maybe make your penis your phylactery.
And have a haunted penis.
That would be cool.
So I don't understand.
And it like never rots.
What about...
It goes in British Museum.
But back to that, like the factory of like, it's just a real, like a picture of me on the wall. Smiling, and all these people, they're paid like $100 a day to go in there and like smile, like stare at me.
Oh, and light candles.
Yeah, and worship me. Would I become a god?
Possibly.
My friend, the witch, said it wouldn't work because I was paying them.
Yeah, I think you'd need to roll high on your charisma and actually do it the old-fashioned way.
Actually,
I don't
get
think
people.
Paying would work. That I do like your call center idea. I think maybe not paying them to worship you, but paying them to call people and be like, this is the prophet of Joseph.
Oh, that would, yeah. Like, I would just cutting out the middleman.
Got you.
I don't want to deal with all those people. It's a good job.
If you're going to be God, you got to deal with the people. You got to make some promises good.
I would want to be God so I don't have to deal with people.
You only get to that point.
Why do you think liches
while.
are in dungeons by themselves? Because they don't want to deal with people. They don't want to be
I thought
bought.
it was because they didn't smell good.
People, I mean, I guess my interpretation of a lich is different. I always thought they were more energy and like ethereal, but I guess people think of them more as like corpses sometimes. I think it depends on the. Like
That's how I've seen it.
Okay, so like a ring wraith,
Mm-hmm.
I always thought of that as more like a lich.
Okay.
That's. I mean, there's interpretations, but
Yeah.
um,
I think your friend has the right idea. Like, I've also read Neil Gaiman books, American Gods, and that's kind of how they think. Like, that's how he's written that gods are made.
Yeah, but I know that's fictional. That's storytelling.
But like,
this is something I've never discussed with you. My pursuit of godhood.
I think you could do it if you charm them and you make good on some promises, like answer prayers. You know what I'm saying?
But no.
Like,
I would have
feed
someone to
into the
do
fact.
that for me. Like, you have like Catholicism, you've got all these fucking saints and shit. God,
yeah.
he's like.
Oh,
playing,
you want to like Pantheon?
Yeah, he's playing Xbox. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
not where he's got like Saint Germain and all these people down there doing.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just talk to God. You're not. There's one guy. It's the Pope.
Yeah.
And he wears that ridiculous hat, so when God's looking down, he can like pick him out of the crowd. He's like,
And
okay,
he's in his BMW. Yeah.
that's the Pope. That's why the Pope wears the hat. It's like Pikmin. It's like that's the Pikmin. That's the leader.
I think you need to like prove yourself a little bit first, like Jesus, like come down in the flesh.
No, Jesus is a bad example. He didn't do anything. He got killed by.
He did some stuff.
He
turned water into wine.
He got nailed by fuck. I could do that. He got nailed to a 2x4. I don't.
Ooh, I have a joke.
What?
Jesus walks into an inn. He
Okay.
hands 3 nails to the innkeeper and he says, "Will you put me up to the night?" I told that on Sunday.
You're going to hell for sure.
Oh, yes.
So, would you like to hear my paranormal experience I had the other day?
Yeah.
This is in this episode we're going on. This will be a shorter episode. Like I said, we just wanted to get something. All we care about are those clicks on YouTube. We just want to trick people into listening to our podcast.
Yeah, this is actually the cult. Welcome to it. Joseph is your
Some
god.
of these people, I wouldn't be surprised. But anyways.
What happened to you?
Sorry, that's the fizzing. So if you can't tell, I'm generally a pretty skeptical man.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to believe. I've had probably, including what just happened, 3 paranormal experiences in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't talk about them very often. This will be the 3rd. And I don't know if it was paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
It was weird enough. It's weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird enough for me to want to come here and tell you.
Okay. I'm ready.
So, I'm not going to say the name of the park because I don't want to dox myself. But I can. I'll tell you afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a park near my house. It's wooded. Trails. Goes by like a river.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to go there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stayed. I got there. I don't know how long I was there. I was there too long. I had taken a hike. And it was like the sun had set, and I was walking back, and it was like dark. And I got in my car, I have like an SUV, and the park was it was dark, and it was pretty crowded. There were like a lot of kids and families. There might have been something going on, and I'm leaving, and I'm driving, and I've got my lights on, and I'm going through the parking lot, and there's like people kind of walking, going to their cars, partying, getting out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of doing my hands, and I'm going slow and respectfully. I'm not, I'm a very respectful driver. I would never harass anyone. But my headlights are on.
Mm-hmm.
And a lady, and again, it's pretty dark because it's a park. It's not like well lit. It's not like you would think. And there's like little camping areas, and there's people over there with fire and stuff. I'm just to add to the ambiance.
Uh-huh.
It's October, so it's cool. Everyone's wearing their
Flannels
sweatshirts and
stuff.
flannels,
Yeah.
and moms and dads. And there was a lady walking to the left of the car, on the other side of the road, and I wasn't like anywhere near her. She was in some kind of white shirt. I don't really even remember what she was wearing. I think she was wearing jeans.
Mm.
And she's older, skinnier lady, maybe 50s. She turned around and looked at me, looked in the car, and her eyes had eye shine like animal.
Oh.
And, well, hold on.
Okay.
Nobody else had that.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, like, nobody else there had that. You have to understand as I'm driving, like, why would you even think that was that weird?
Yeah.
I didn't. And in fact, I just kind of kept going and I just looked at her. I'm like, huh. And I realized, this is kind of a long story. I had put in my GPS, the pizza place, and I decided I didn't want pizza. And so, like, that happened, I'm thinking, like, oh, where do I go? Should I just go home? Should I just do this? I should probably get home and switch my laundry. I'm thinking, and I'm like, I need to put in a different address. And so I get to the end of the park, and that had just happened. She turned around and looked at my car, and her eyes had, like, eye shine. And it was a good ways. Like, I got to look at it. It wasn't imagination.
Yeah.
And I pull into, like, a parking spot towards the end of the park where you leave the park, and I'm on my GPS. And I do remember I was thinking about it. And I thought that I had heard somewhere that there are certain contact lenses that can do that. Maybe eye drops or something. And I wasn't, like, worried. And honestly, if what happened next hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't even be telling you the story because I wouldn't have thought there was anything.
Yeah, it wouldn't even occur to you.
I'm sitting there, and it's dark. And I'm on my phone. And I see someone, like, walking towards my car, and it's that lady. They're brown hair.
Yeah.
Older, skinny. And she comes right up to my window. And I look at her, and I crack my window. Before I could say anything, she says, "What did you see?" Like, what did you see? Like that. And, like, it didn't, again, I'm not thinking, like, anything weird. I'm like, I was like, what? She said, "What did you see?" And I said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And she didn't say anything. She's just, like, staring me right in the eyes. I said, I'm not giving you any money because I didn't know what else to say. And she just stood there a few minutes later, and I didn't say anything. Like, I just stared at her. I'm like, I'm not,
You're like, bitch, I'm trying to get pizza.
Yeah, I wasn't getting pizza at that point, but I have like a knife in my car, like a switchblade right there. So I'm like, am I gonna have to stab this fucking bitch? And she stood there and stared at me a few minutes later, and then walked around, like, just didn't say a word, just walked away and kept walking. Yeah. And so I rolled up my window and I passed her again. And I don't know where the hell she was walking to, thinking about it.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me because that was the end of the parking lot. So I drove home, and that's the story.
Dude, that's crazy.
What? I don't know.
That's so fucking
I've told
weird.
other people that, and they don't think it's... I actually told my friend that's a non-denominational witch, and she's like, she might have just been a crackhead.
But why would her eyes light up?
I don't know. Why would she come to my window and say, "What did you see?" I acted like I didn't...
I'm sure it didn't even occur to you in the moment.
It didn't,
yeah.
no.
You're
I
like,
mean,
what the fuck are you on about?
I had actually said, I just mentioned that. I thought it was contact lenses. I just thought she could have just been some crackhead, but I don't know. Is that a ghost story? Is it paranormal?
I don't know about ghosts,
Is
but
it
I'm
a
thinking
witch?
like, no,
I don't
I'm
know.
thinking like cryptid.
A cryptid?
Yeah, like one of those skinwalkers.
In the park? In the middle of... Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, it's hunting grounds, isn't it?
I don't know.
They're in the woods.
It's a weird
Halloween.
Weird thing.
The veil is thin.
It was October. It was October 11th, I think, is when it happened. No, I don't know. It is. I guess it doesn't matter. It was weird. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, that would... I would have immediately been like, well, you know that funny little thing that happens when you flash a camera and you see red eyes? Like,
see,
I
my
probably
mind
would
wasn't
have been-
there. I was looking for a gun. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
times, I was looking for someone coming up to my other side of my
side,
car trying to
yeah.
get in. I wasn't thinking anything. I mean, people are scarier than...
Most stuff,
Yeah, so... But I thought it was an interesting thing, and I thought I'd share it.
No, that is very interesting. I'm very, like...
Oh, damn it. Put your feet on your side.
My feet are on
That's
my
gross.
side. I'm long. I think...
God, we
I
need a
think you
different
did
setup.
run into something.
You think so?
I think so.
Other people I talked to didn't think
I
that.
don't know about that. It's
So,
just
and you
weird.
know me too.
Yeah,
like,
you
know that
wouldn't categorize this as... You just be like, fucking bitch, crackhead.
you know
Like,
that
you literally... That's how you think everyone who approaches you
right.
is.
You-
Yeah.
You know that I'm not like looking for ghosts like
Yeah.
people are. Like,
Well,
I'm
you
not-
thought I was a crackhead when you met me.
Yeah.
Like, you were like, oh, wow, why
I
is
love
this waitress
cricket.
so friendly and want to know how my mom's doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not giving you money. And I'm like, well,
I've said this before. The political correct is server.
yeah, sorry. Got to stay on brand.
You're really, I don't know if this was a wonderful episode or a horrible episode.
I think it was
You've
good.
got so much energy today. I love it.
Next time I'm
This
going to
is
bring
bothering
3
me.
coffees.
3
Just to really
coffees.
push the envelope.
So,
And then right before I leave, I'm just going to like tear up your bathroom.
TMI.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at
And I'm going to tell you it was a ghost that
This
did it.
podcast
It's not
is-
me. I really think you ran into something. Like that just...
Well, what was it? Tell us what it
I
was.
don't know.
I thought you.
It could be
What if
someone possessed.
possessed? Like Bazuzin?
Possibly.
Would Mima know? Could you call Mima and
could.
Papa? Be like, have you encountered this in these woods before?
I could. I mean, literally, she'll probably just start praying. But I don't know. To me, like, that's creepy. I've never seen someone's eyes in like without camera flash or like on a photo do that, like night vision shit.
Well, it's like cats do
Yeah.
that. Like I've seen like
I see my cat does it.
I have skunks in my yard and I have like flashlight and I'll shine it on them and their eyes light up.
Yeah.
It reflects the light. Yeah, and
But humans, nobody.
you should tell.
I'm really surprised your witch friend didn't think that was creepy.
I told another person I've been talking to that thinks they know all this ghosts and stuff, and they said they didn't think anything of it either. So I don't know.
I think something of it.
I'll find out what it is and report back next
Yeah.
week.
You're gonna have me like watching people.
you should ask
what
Mima.
if it was an alien?
It could have been. It could be. Ask Mima.
Yeah.
Can we get Mima on the podcast?
Yeah, we could try. It'll be boring though.
No, it won't.
She's gonna fall into her dementia like Joe Biden
It
riddled.
won't be boring if I'm talking to Mima. I have a lot of questions for her.
I'll definitely not be cussing a
we
lot.
will frame this as if she's rescuing people. Like, these kids are playing with Ouija boards, and you need to tell them why they shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And
one of them has glowing eyes.
you ever just like tell... One thing I used to do with my grandma before she passed away was her life was so fucking boring.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she just like... Puzzles were a big deal. She'd do a puzzle, and she'd take a snapshot of it and send me the picture in the mail. The literal developed film to me to show me the puzzle.
Oh my god.
Her and my grandpa. So I'd call her up and I'd tell her like stories that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had like my life was like John Wick. And I just completely make it up. I'm like, yeah, me and my ex-wife, we're driving on the highway, Grandma. And you know those big things that transport cars? She's like, yeah, I know, Joseph. You know what I'm talking about, the like,
trucks.
The double, like their
Yeah.
car stacked up. And I'm like, yeah, well, the chain broke. What do you mean, Joseph?
I had to dodge cars.
And I'm like, I was swerving. One of them went, and I slammed my brakes on. It flipped. I'm like, I looked up through my sunroof, Grandma, and I saw a car fly over me. And I literally told her that happened on the way to her house.
And that's why you're going to hell.
Yeah, and she's like, oh my God. Oh my God, Joseph, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I mean, this is Taekwondo reflexes kicking in. Those Overwatch reflexes, yeah.
Yeah.
I tell her that stuff. I'm like, she's like, well, you know, how are you doing? I'm like, well, there's a gang of pit bulls roaming the apartment, and I had to fight them off. And I had just watched that Liam Neeson movie where he fights the wolves. I told her that. I'm like, yeah, she doesn't like pit bulls because she like saw it on the news that they were dangerous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, there's a whole gang of them.
You gotta
I'm
watch
like,
out.
I just took off my sweatshirt. I wrapped it around my fist. And I squared down with them. I just lived in a world.
And you know she went and told like
Yeah.
all of her friends in the Hardee's
Yeah.
breakfast line.
The thing with the sweatshirt was when I did tell her about a tornado.
Oh my god.
And I said that I tied myself to like a signpost, or no, it was a light post during the tornado, and that was the only thing that saved me. I told her it was like lifting me up. And I had it like tied around my waist. You see what I'm doing? Like,
Yeah.
And I told her, I'm like, it was lifting me up.
off the ground.
She was
Grandma.
really afraid of tornadoes.
Oh, that poor woman.
I think about her a lot this time of year because she always did like this big thing for my birthday, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I always think about her grandma. Like tornadoes, she'd like seen Twister.
Yeah.
She was afraid of them, and like the storm chasers that was popular in like the early '90s. And my dad is such a dick. One time he had this old cell phone. It's like a big one. It's like a BlackBerry.
Yeah.
And she couldn't get a hold of us at the house because we were literally like out doing something as a family. she was trying to get a hold of my mom because she was afraid there was a tornado in the area. And my dad answered the phone, and we knew that's what she was doing because she had like called and left messages and stuff. And my dad just went, "Whoosh, help, Grandma!" and like made all these noises, "Help, help!" And like me and my brother joined in, "Help!" Like, "Grandma, it's sucking us up." Yeah.
And she just thinks her whole family's wiped out.
Yeah, well, I think she knew, like, yeah, but she always did good things for Halloween. She would bring us to, like, these little shows and stuff they'd have where she lived, and she lived out in this little place, and I don't want to dox her, doesn't matter, but, and we'd watch, like, old movies and stuff.
Aww.
Yeah, I miss her. One of the few people I've ever cared about, I can say.
Would she watch scary movies with you?
We would watch a lot of the old Universal horror. I was trying to avoid talking about them because it's just like a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I am like an endless encyclopedia of those movies, like the Wolfman, Dracula, Frankenstein, all of those movies. I could spend hours talking about them.
We'll probably do that another time.
Yeah. But I think this is, like I said, I can't tell if this is a horrible or a wonderful episode, but
I think it's a wonderful episode.
you have anything else to add?
No. I just really love the story about your grandma and your dad and your brother and you just be like, "Hell, Grandma."
we did all sorts of things to fuck with her.
Oh my God.
One of my favorite memories. I'll tell one more quick story.
Okay.
This is kind of morbid, so it's
okay.
I don't know. This is one of those stories I don't know if people think was funny because it's like you have to know my family, but I think a lot of people might remember my brother Jared. He used to play Overwatch and stream and be a part.
Did he? I thought he doesn't do that stuff anymore.
No, he doesn't. He used to. He used to be like the meanest. He was like, you know, I don't think you've known my brother. He's changed. But Jared now, like, he's retired. He, like, last I talked to him, he's getting into beekeeping. He just is like, yeah, he just lives this life. Like, it's like life's just like a fucking Lana Del Rey song.
Okay.
Like I used to tell him. That's a
like a Lana Del
That's
Rey
a deep
song.
joke, man. You won't even get that.
Aw.
That's before we used to say that a lot. But
What did y'all do to Grandma?
so my grandmother had this fixation on being cremated. And she was very morbid. She'd come over and be like, her name was Evelyn. She'd be like, "Boys, when I die, don't let me rot in the earth. I want to be cremated. You understand? I want to be put in the fire. Even if you have to drag me, put me in the fire." We're like, okay. And she was like, you know, like 60. She's not dead. Like, not even, she died at like 89 or something. So she, you know, this is just, she wanted to be cremated. I don't know. It was just like a thing. She's like a pyromaniac or something. She just wanted to burn. And she'd tell us a lot. And before anyone asked, she was cremated. So, but my brother and I were sitting with her one day, and we were eating ice cream. We were having ice cream. She'd always want to go get ice cream cones. And she's like, "Boys, I'm not going to be here for much longer." We're like, "We know, Grandma." She's like, "When I die, I want to be cremated."
We know,
And
Grandma.
she's like, "I don't want my ashes spread over a lake for the fish and birds to get into." It's like, "I want to sit in a box." And my brother looks at her and goes, "When you die, Grandma, I'm going to take your ashes. I'm going to have them compressed into a diamond. And then I'm going to sell that diamond on the internet and make some money off you." And she like looks at him, just like jaw dropped.
Yeah.
And she's just like, "Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here." She got mad at him.
I mean, honestly, depending on how her lifestyle was, she'd probably be a smoky quartz at best, but yeah.
Yeah, she was...
Oh my God, I'm going to sell you on the internet.
I'm going to sell you on the internet. Because to her, the internet was like the wild... That's another thing, the internet.
Yeah.
She knew we were like doing stuff on the internet. "Well, people know where you live and they're going to show up." I'm like, "Let them." She's like, "There could be serial killers." Every person she didn't know there was a serial killer.
Yeah.
She surprisingly wasn't a racist person.
Yeah, she just doesn't trust
Yeah,
strangers.
I think that's like a lot of old people are racist. She really
Yeah.
wasn't. She had like lived in like, you know, like ethnic neighborhoods and stuff. So she's not like, she thought everyone was dangerous.
I mean, shit, she grew up in a time where everyone was.
I don't know. But
They didn't have
how did we
forensics.
start talking about my fucking grandma?
From the story about you.
Yeah.
pretending to die and giving her John Wick arc lines. Living in your Lana Del Rey songs.
Yeah. I tell her all sorts of stuff. Like, I wake up and I'm like, Grandma, you never believe what woke me up this morning. My neighbor had a gun go off. A bullet sword. It actually hit my pillow. Like, I had like a hole in my bed from something, so I like showed her the hole. I'm like, yep, it almost shot me. She's like, oh, you must have God watching you, you know. But she's not nearly as exciting as me, Mom, or Papa.
No, that sounds pretty cute. I love her.
Let's end this episode.
All right.
I'm done. Thank you for watching. If you've made it through this one, this has been a pretty harrowing experience on my end. We have all the usual social medias. We have TikTok. I think we're going to have an Instagram. We definitely have a Discord. We want to get this Discord active. Thank you for everybody. Or thanks. Jesus. Thanks for listening, everyone. Anything else from you, Ophamae? Anything you want to plug?
And just check out the Discord, check out the YouTube and the Instagram and the TikTok, and we'll be having voting polls for different things coming up.
And if anybody wants to message us, let us know. If it's good enough, we might read it on air. I don't know. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I hate ending these things. I'm just going to turn it off. Bye.
Funny thing that's tape and